Hi, everyone. Paul Finck here, the Maverick Millionaire, and this is Mavericks Do It Different podcast. And I want to introduce you to an episode that I recorded a little while back that absolutely is key. It's all about breaking the fear barrier and the key components on what it is, how to identify it, what it's all about, and really what to do about it when it shows up. And it's not necessarily what you think. So listen up, listen close, and I'll see you real soon. Hi, everyone. This is Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire of the Maverick Universe, and you're listening to the Mavericks Do It Different podcast. Today, I want to discuss how most people don't believe they can. They don't believe they can do it, whatever that is. And I know they can. Why I know. That's what we're going to talk about. This discussion is going to go into and focus on fear and the emotional blocks that keep us from living the life that we say we want, living the life that we were meant to have. I'm going to do a deep dive into fear, why it's good, why it's bad, why you must learn how to navigate these emotions in life to create a great one. When you want a different future, when you want a different life, when you want to create even more results in your business and personal life, this podcast is for you. So grab a coffee, your notebook, and let's get busy. I have achieved an amazing level of success, and I'm not saying this to brag. I'm expressing the fact. I have created success in my life. I want to focus you in on the rest of the story. Most people see my success and others like me and think to themselves, well, of course, look at you. Of course, you've become successful. You have confidence, obvious talent, and you're fearless. I could never do what you do. The reality is, I wasn't always this person. I had to work hard to overcome my fears, my blocks, my anxieties, to reach the level of success that I now cherish. I had to walk with fear until the day it decided it was not going to show up anymore. And truth be told, there's still chit chat in my head to this day. I think to myself on a regular basis sometimes, and all too often that I hate to admit, am I worthy? Am I good enough? Will people really care what I have to say? People don't see any of that. You see what's presented in front of you, nothing more, and you believe it's the whole story. It never is. As an entrepreneurial coach and business consultant, I work with people all over the world. I work with them to be more, to achieve more, to have more in their life. Unfortunately, all too often, people back away from the opportunity because of fear. They feel they can't do whatever I did. They feel like they couldn't quite make it, couldn't quite go through that process. And in turn, whatever I tell them to do to succeed, they believe they couldn't do that either. So what is this thing called fear? Fear is an emotion in response to perceived or imagined threats or danger with mental, physical, chemical, and emotional manifestations and responses. This emotion is understood to be an evolved trait for quick response and quick response time under extreme danger. Although our need for life and death movement is few for the average person, this evolved trait will protect us nonetheless. And this becomes even more extreme and troublesome when combined with past similar experience. Our fear then triggers the release of certain chemicals in the brain, such as adrenaline, which prepares the body for fight or flight. Fear can have both positive and negative effects, obviously. The fight or flight response is a real one. On one hand, fear can be useful to protect ourselves and protect us from serious danger. It can also motivate people to take action, to make positive changes in their lives. Excessive or chronic fear, however, can be harmful and debilitating. It can interfere with a person's ability to function and lead to anxiety and other mental health issues. It can also cause physiological effects such as increased heart rate and blood pressure. And over and above all that, fear can keep you from living the life of your dreams. All too often, I have potential clients that get frozen in the decision-making process. They know they want to change. They know they want more in their life. They know I know how to create the change and deliver what could be considered magical results in their life. Yet, they get stuck, they get stopped. They just don't believe they can make it happen. They know they're afraid, and they believe they can never and will never overcome these fears to take action on what I'm teaching them. It's so painful for me to watch, and even more painful for them to experience, knowing they are inches away from changing their life and yet cannot bring themselves to do so. What you may not know is I have faced many a fear in my day. I was afraid to speak in public for sure. I was really good one-on-one. However, as soon as I had the speaker even ask a question in front of a group as small as a few people in a classroom, I'd clam up. Even into my 20s and 30s, I would shake and get nauseous. My palms would sweat. My voice would crack every time I was asked to speak in front of a group. Why? Why did I have this emotional response, this physical response? I think back to those days and wonder, what was that about? Now, speaking in front of groups is one of the most natural things I do. However, back then, I remember thinking my thoughts are not as good as theirs. What I might say, oh, they might ridicule it. They know more than I do. They think I am stupid, or they will. Who knows where that came from, or frankly, who cares? Key is I can now speak in front of large groups all over the world. To get from there to here, in addition to the fear of speaking, I had to face a long list of other fears. I had to overcome fear of being rejected, fear of looking stupid, like I said, fear of success, fear of failure. I learned the techniques and strategies to move past all that, and now I'm able to lend a hand to my clients to help them through the same challenges, fears, blocks. So why would you hesitate? Knowing what I deliver can bring you to new heights in your life, both personally and professionally. Well, there are several reasons why people might fear things, even when there's no evidence of negative consequence in their life. Number one, evolutionary response. I touched on this earlier. Fear is an evolved mechanism that helps individuals respond quickly and effectively to potential harm. Number two, we have past experiences. Our past experiences can shape the way we perceive and respond to certain situations. Trauma, abuse, negative experiences can cause people to develop phobias or irrational fears. Number three is we have learned associations. People can develop fears through learned associations where a certain stimulus becomes associated with a traumatic event or negative experience. Cognitive distortions. This is really key. And overgeneralization. We can exaggerate the potential harm from a situation and make it seem more dangerous than it actually is. These distortions are real, and at least to the person they are, to the individual. So often I hear, I can't do that. It will cost too much. I'll be financially destroyed. Well, will you? They believe they are going to be financially bankrupt by risking what they have. Usually the truth is they don't have anything now to speak about, nothing worthwhile, and as such, they're worried over nothing. The non-distortion, if you will, is they don't want to risk nothing of real value to get something of much greater value. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? By the way, there is no better investment than investing in yourself. And you know that. Number five, social influence. Social influence can also play a role in the development of fears. People can develop fears due to the influence of others, such as parents, friends, or even the media. All these factors can make it difficult for people and may cause them to become frozen with inaction when faced with something they fear. This last one is especially prevalent in this day and age. Social influence. What will other people think? All too often, we care more about what people would think about our actions than we actually care about the people themselves. Surprisingly, most of the people we would worry about not liking what we're doing are not worth caring about at all. And you know that. In 10 years from now, will you care about what that person thinks? Will you even be in communication with them? And yet, you're willing to give up your future life, your destiny, because of what that person might say. Again, silliness, don't you think? There is the expression, face your fears and do it anyway. It is the understanding that it is better to confront and overcome the things that we're afraid of rather than avoiding them or letting them hold us back from our dream life. This can be a powerful approach to tackling challenges and achieving our goals, as it helps us to build confidence, resilience, can ultimately lead to personal growth and fulfillment. I remember hearing about the great Barbra Streisand. Some of you may or may not know who this is. Look it up. Barbra Streisand, one of the most successful and talented singers and actresses of all time. And the one thing that she was always struggling with, yep, you guessed it, public speaking. Despite her incredible success, Barbara was always plagued by the fear of speaking in front of large crowds. In one famous story, Barbara was set to give a keynote speech at a major industry conference. But as the day of the event approached, she became increasingly nervous and anxious. She tried everything she could think of to calm her nerves. Breathing exercises, visualization techniques, nothing seemed to work. Finally, the day of the conference arrived, and Barbara took the stage as she always did. She was a professional. As she began to speak, her hands trembling, her voice shook a little, and she persisted. As she went along, she started to realize that the audience wasn't judging her. They were rooting for her. They wanted her to succeed. Of course they did. She was amazing. And as she spoke, her fear began to dissipate. She found herself getting into the flow of the speech, and by the end, Barbara gave an amazing speech that received a standing ovation. One of the most amazing parts of the story is that despite her success, Barbara never fully overcame this fear of public speaking. Instead, she learned to work with it and channel it into a force that helped her deliver an unforgettable performance and performance over and over again. The moral of the story is that facing your fears doesn't mean you have to conquer them or eliminate them. It means you learn to live with them, channel them, and use them to your advantage. It's okay to be scared and can actually be good for you to move you forward, to get you going. What is not okay is to let your fear stop you from doing what you want to do, what you were meant to do. As a business person, there are several strategies you can use to overcome these fears. Whether it is the fear of failure, the fear of success, you've got to be proactive and taking action without hesitation. One of the key components is reframing your thinking. Instead of focusing in on the potential negative outcomes of failure, reframe your thoughts and focus on the benefits and opportunity that will come from taking higher perceived risks. I say perceived risks because just like fear, risk is subjective and susceptible to major cognitive distortions as well. Learn from your mistakes. Failure is an opportunity to learn and grow. Instead of dwelling on your failures, learn from them and use that knowledge to improve your future actions. Be prepared. Educate yourself about the risks and opportunities involved in your venture and have a plan in place for alternative ways to hit your goals. Being prepared can help you feel more in control and less fearful of the failure or the potential failure. Be aware, often people use this aspect to procrastinate or delay action. I'm getting prepared, weighing all the options. Stop overthinking, get into action, get into doing. You'll do so much better. Another great technique, surround yourself with supportive people. Seek out the support of friends, family, or a mentor who can provide encouragement and guidance, a community even. You're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. This goes double for your fears. Your fears are the average of the fears of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Be aware of who you're hanging out with, who you are listening to. It is an amazing truth that people will take advice on important life-changing events or financial opportunities from people that have no life and no finances. Why would you ever do that? Be aware of where you're getting your advice from. Another great technique, do some self-programming and do this daily. Fear of failure can often be rooted in negative self-talk. Time to get busy and reprogram your mind in positive affirmations. Doing this daily and several times a day can be a powerful tool anyone can take advantage of at any time. Important to remember that failure is a normal and natural part of the process of taking risks and pursuing success. Taking action despite the fear of failure is the key to achieve success in all business. Let me share with you a couple other stories, which are always amazing. And I love success stories of celebrities who have gone the test of time, gone the distance, and how they faced fear. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, has spoken about his fear of failure. He stated that he used his fear as motivation to work harder, push himself to be the best. He said, I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life. That is why I succeed, because I dared to fail. J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter series, she was all about her struggles with depression and anxiety. She talked about all this. She stated that writing was a form of therapy for her, helping her deal with her fears and negative thoughts. Despite her struggles, she persisted and became one of the most successful authors of all time. Oprah Winfrey, she's spoken about her fear of public speaking and how it held her back early on in her career. She stated that she had forced herself to speak in front of others, and eventually she overcame her fear by facing it head on, similar to what I've done in my career. Today, Oprah is a successful media mogul and one of the most influential public speakers in the world. For me, this tactic called desensitization worked. Continuous, persistent exposure to the fearful situation helped me overcome the fear for good. It did take more than once, which meant it was repeatedly, knowingly putting myself in a fearful situation. I started by standing on stage without a mic. No expectation I would say a word. Then gradually I would say my name. Then a few sentences. Then step by step. Over months, worked up to a 10-minute speech, then a 20-minute speech, and so on. It helped me build the confidence and overcome my fear step by step. Marilyn Monroe, the legendary actress Marilyn Monroe, has spoken about her fear of rejection and how it affected her life. Despite her success, she was plagued by self-doubt, insecurity. She said, I am good, but I'm not an angel. I do sin, but I'm not the devil. I am just a small girl in a big world trying to find someone to love. Despite her fears, she became one of the most iconic actresses of all time. Then we have Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States. Had a fear of public speaking also. He stammered and had a high-pitched voice, which made it difficult for him to speak in public. Despite his fear, Lincoln persisted and worked on his speeches and delivery. He eventually became one of the greatest speakers of all time in American history and delivered some of the most famous speeches in history. These stories show that fear is a common experience for many, many people of all types, and even those that are highly successful. But it also shows that success is not the absence of fear, but the ability to overcome, channel, and work within it. These people have shown that with determination and hard work, they were able to overcome their fears and achieve great success. It's what I've achieved as well and experienced. And so can you. Reach out to me, share your fears. Let me guide you past them to the life you were meant to have. Overall, to take action is the bold move that has the most success and the greatest outcome. Let your body tell your mind the direction you are going in versus the other way around. Ultimately, the key and effective move is to be proactive, take action, even when it feels difficult or scary. By facing your fears and pushing through them, you can develop the skills and confidence to tackle new challenges and achieve all your life goals. There are a number of strategies that you can use to help overcome fear and build confidence. Over and over, we have clients who hesitate to move forward. Some hesitate for minutes or days. Some even take months, if not years. One of our clients laughs and kicks herself regularly at the fact her fears kept her stuck and stopped and in her tracks for over 4 years. When she finally faced her fears and followed the Maverick doctrine of trust the process, she moved from a low 5 figures to multi-6 figures almost overnight. Too bad she wasted 4 years of not having this abundance available to her before she took action. Don't make that mistake yourself. Reach out to me today. I ask you, do you want to face your fears? Do you want to create a new life? Do you want to get control of all? Use these techniques. Face your fears. Trust the process. And join forces with the Maverick universe. Become unstoppable. Ready to do it different. Excited to be a Maverick. We are here for you on this journey. Thank you so much for tapping in, for being part of this community, for listening to this week's episode of Mavericks Do It Different podcast. We so appreciate you and the time that you spent. Go ahead and share us on Facebook and Instagram. We love the action that it's getting and the activity that you're showing. We want to expand this universe and share more and more with you every single day. Join us next week for another amazing episode of Mavericks Do It Different podcast so you can keep learning, we can keep growing, and our community continues to support the goal to create the world of all of our dreams. Share this knowledge, do it different every day, and continue to be a Maverick. Till next time, everyone.
Thanks for being here today. As our gift to you, be sure to go to themaverickuniverse.com where you can download your free copy of the Maverick Manifesto. Until next time, dare to be different. Dare to be a Maverick.